Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back, or not welcome back, but welcome to the Female Esports League, the FSL for the Mobile Legends Bang Bang Tournament, and this is gonna be for the girls in Myanmar. Once again, my name is Aris, and I am honored to be casting for this one-off tournament. Remember, this doesn't lead anything to circuit, it's to prepare the girls for the upcoming circuit that has been put on hold because of the whole COVID-19 situation. But without further ado, I think the players are ready. So before we go into the draft, I want to give a big shout out to not only FSL but Dreamcore, Super Solid, as well as Yahoo for being our official partners and sponsors for this event. And I think the players are already ready. In fact, they've already got the draft started, so let's just dive straight into it. Game 1 will be between Nirvana as well as Reborn. Nirvana's gonna be taking up the blue side, and then we have Reborn on the red. And looks like we're gonna see Nirvana ban out the Claude and the Link. Obviously, Claude super big in the tri-lane meta, or not tri-lane, but the tri-mid, or what people would call the hyper carry. You know, you usually see the 5 masks come out. If you're really good, you buy the 5 masks. If you're not that good, you know, MM doesn't really pick up a mask. The mask works really well if you know how to distance yourself when the MM needs to pick up the farm. But coming into Reborn's draft, banning out the Nana is Valor. You know, Valor, you have those pale flames, you have the flame shots, you have his ulti, you know, immune to CC. Really pesky to deal with early game. And then going to late game, he has a ton of damage, as well as the triple stacks on his passive. So it's no wonder why they want to take the Valor out. Just a heads up, Zas, as well as I do believe one other hero is actually taken out. So it's actually Zas and Sylvana. So both Zas and Sylvana are auto banned. We will not see Zas as well as Sylvana, obviously because of the bugs that Sylvana puts out. So it's no wonder that the admins have decided to take her out of this game. So we will not be seeing those two heroes, in case you're wondering where they are. Carry, Diggy, as well as the Grok pickup for Nirvana. Really huge amount of damage early game. You know, you have Diggy with the auto alarm bombs, and then you have Grok with the power nature as well as the wall charge. So two heroes that are really good and contributing to the early game damage. And then going into the late game, you know, you have Grok that's quite a tanky frontliner, and then you have Diggy that can put reverse time over there just to help the team get out of sticky situations that, you know, maybe if the Selena or the Hylos catches them. Diggy ultimate also gives them a shield, so that does help in team fight. Reborn's gonna pick up the Selena with the Abyssal Arrow. It's gonna be worrying for Nirvana, given that, you know, they do have a Grok, which is good, right? Because, you know, Grok, when he uses the power of nature, is kind of immune to CC, so he can actually just tank up the Abyssal Arrow. Although, you know, the best case scenario here would be for the entire team of Nirvana to dodge it. Herphrodite picking up the Kimi. I mean, Kimi is one of those heroes where she benefits a lot from the hyper carry, because she does get that glowing one really early into the game. She can then build into Blade of Despair. She can go to Genus 1 if she wants to. She can go into more aggressive build on the physical portion if she also wants to. So there's a lot of options open up for Reborn with this draft. They pick up the Uranus as well as the, I do believe it's a Hylos. So Hylos definitely going to go mid along with Selena and Kimi. So I don't think we'll see Kimi go mage build, although it's still possible. They ban out the Jawhead because, you know, that's one of those heroes where she can dive in the backline. The Vela is actually banned out, so they could have picked up the Atlas, but they want to pick up the Uranus here, so they had to pick up another off laner. I think Minseta is a pretty good pick. I don't know. I feel like the draft has a lot of damage in a team fight, and a bulk of their setup will come from the Selena for the gang to work off because of the Abyssal Arrow when it comes down to the side lanes. Yes, you do have Minseta that does have the Spear of Glory, so I think that's where they wanna initiate from, either through the Abyssal Arrow or Spear of Glory. Nirvana's gonna complete their lineup with a Grenadier as well as a Leomord pickup. I think Grenadier isn't too bad. I mean, they banned out the Xbox, so obviously they're feeling really good about giving away that Uranus draft. I gotta say, I'm pretty surprised that Uranus wasn't picked up earlier. I mean, if you ask me, I think Nirvana's draft just looks a lot better. They have both the Diggy as well as the Guinevere. The fact that Diggy can help with the CC if anyone does get caught with the Abyssal Arrow does put them in a little bit of advantage. I'm trying to figure out where the damage is gonna come from for the side of Reborn early game, because yes, Kimi does have a really huge early game spike, but she does lack the punch if she doesn't go into the late game well. So that's the only portion that I'm a little bit worried about.
Smash them. All troops deployed.
But here we go, first game of the day, Nirvana versus Reborn. Remember, it's a best of 3 series, and we'll be having 2 games for today. First one being the game that you're looking in front of your screen right now, and then the second one would actually be Impunity Pixis against Impunity Diva. So Impunity having both teams faced up in the first game. It's a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. And looks like we're gonna start with a little bit of aggression. The Leomord at the top. Guinevere gonna be in bot lane up against the Misita. I gotta say, I actually do prefer the Guinevere's early game advantage from Misita. You can see she's putting a lot of pressure. She's taking a Purify. In fact, you see 3 Purify on the draft of Nirvana, and that's no wonder, right? And obviously trying to avoid all this CC coming off the Hylos. You have the Misita, then you also have the Abyssal Arrow to kind of worry from this Selena. So that's no wonder why they had 3 Purifies. A little bit of harassment down the bot lane. You can see that they actually do want to force this one. I think Reborn should be able to get this. It's gonna be an easy takeout from the bot lane, meanwhile top side. Nirvana having a little bit of difficulty against this Uranus. I mean, it's super tanky. Not easy to take down as well, but they might be able to get the first blood. Yes, they do. It's the Leomord that picked up. Oh, she takes too many turret shots. She's gonna go down. And both teams should be feeling pretty good. Pretty on point. 1 minute 30 seconds, having the first tower down. It's always a good objective. Really good timing to hit. But it looks like we do have Reborn putting a little bit of pressure down to mid lane. Good rotation from both ends. No mistake me so far, but that bang down the middle. Yeah, that wall is gonna be an issue for the side. Or for Reborn to deal with. Really good wall coming up from Empress. Set up the gang. You got that early game damage with the power nature as well as the Eidolon bombs like I picked off. Carry will pick up that easy kill, or rather easy assist. Meanwhile, bot lane once again, Velvet not doing really well when it comes down to that 1v1. Really needs a lot of support from the rest of the teammates. Misita is one of those heroes that don't really do too much early game. Like, he's one of those heroes that does well roaming wise, but you can see that he loses out so much. So they kind of trade lanes here. Maybe a little bit too late, but it's not too much. They're not too far behind. Just a 1k goal lead, which I think is definitely recoverable if they can get either the turtle or a good gang here. Pick up the healing buff, and that's gonna allow them to start up the turtle. But they do want to put a little bit of defense onto the great. Good map knowledge over the Selena not being able to land the Abyssal Arrow. Looks like we're gonna see a pause come up from the side of Reborn, and this has been the case, for most games, especially if you want to play that hyper carry meta, where you really need to buy a lot of time, or rather not buy up online as soon as possible. So it looks like the pause will come. Up. And I think Reborn is slightly to that. This is why you look at net worth as of now. Both teams are pretty similar. Both ends this time round. The Uranus, or rather the Hylos going down. Or rather Uranus going where Reborn has to be a little bit more aggressive. You need they need Kido to be landing her shots, especially those abyssal arrows, because like I said, they can't, like, you know, they have a lot of CC, right? They have hard CCs like, you know, the Mrs. Hapu. They are not reliable stuns. They reliable CCs on the side of Nirvana, that, you know, they don't really have to worry too much about missing the skills, right? It's more of a case of, can they get in range, and for the most part it looks like they can. Presence in lane, another abyssal arrow, not gonna, and Nirvana will give a little bit of a breathing space over to the side of Reborn. Aphrodite here getting put back by the Ruler's time, but Yumi's gonna rotate down into mid. Looks like Empress already dropped to half health. I do believe a Purify was burned there by Call Me P. Kind of a panic press, but I don't think they will be seeing any team fight any time soon. I don't think the next minute we'll see any team fight. Minsita now gets a little bit of a breathing space. Like I mentioned, in the top lane, it's going to be able to farm up a little bit. Looks like they want to go for Endless Battle, which is a really good item, right? It's cheap, good stats, decent amount of contribution, especially to individual stats. On the Minsita, you get a little bit of a regen, a little bit of cooldown, and next, you know, basic attack does give the pure damage, so it's a really good item for the off laners to have. So it looks like it's going to be another turtle uncontested from Reborn. And Nirvana still trying to push the objectives. They kind of lost that momentum in the early game. And, well, things will look a little bit scary, especially if the Kimi does get a little bit of space to farm. She's already completed her glowing wand. This is where Kimi's damage is, I wouldn't say at its peak. Obviously, you know, the BOD will come after the glowing wand, but they should have more damage as compared to what Nirvana can put out in the team fight now. And if anything, it should be the case of Reborn trying to force a fight. They're not being able to catch out, and this is because Nirvana's just rotating way quicker. You look at that, they're already pushing down the bot lane. They should be able to get this one.
Initiate retreat.
It looks like whatever Reborn lost in the earlier part of the game, they've already come back. They're now 1k up. Look at the gold swing right there. A little bit worried for Nirvana, especially if they let this continue. And look at that, they're trying to rotate in 5, which means that gives Uranus the space to push down bot. I mean, in the earlier part of the game, they were looking to be always ahead of Reborn, and they were doing so well at doing that. But now, 8 minutes and 40 seconds in, it looks like they kind of lost momentum. You know, they don't really know how to cope with the rotation coming out from Reborn. And what's the worst part is that Kimi is just going to get stronger once she gets the BOD. And obviously Carrie's a really good late gamer. The question is, can they buy enough time and hold the Kimi back?
Lord,
at least until the carry comes online. Longevity coming up onto the Uranus. That's going to provide even more sustain. The reverse time will come up. Violent Record knocks 2 of them, and the Uranus might go down over here. Some of the speed, and they are going for the wrong target. Leomord in the middle of all of them, and they are being kept alive just solely by the sustain. And now this is where Kimi will turn the fight. Look at that, so much range on that Kimi. I don't think they will be able to get out of this. She still has her ultimate, and that's going to charge up. That's going to be a double kill. Although Digi will have the immortality burned away. Good timing on that team fight. 9 minutes and we're at 10 minutes now. And they can go for the Lord. Good fight coming up from Reborn. Kind of forced that fight, even though the Digi initiated with the reverse time. And especially with the follow-up with the Violent Requiem. That big CC coming up from King's Landing, especially on the Minsita's ultimate. That was really good. It caught all of them. And that just disabled so many skills that Nirvana had, especially, you know, the huge CCs like Wild Charge. You know, Leomord had to kind of reposition himself to actually find another angle to go into the backline, which gave enough time for Aphrodite to put all the damage down in front, and he was just ripping through not only the Grog but the Leomord as well in the later part of the fight. And this is where, like I said, things get scary. Uranus now leading the front. He has the HP to do so. They're just gonna burn the Digi right through. Guinevere
Double kill.
might even go down here. It's just gonna be a double kill for the Kimi, who is currently 6-0 with 1 assist. Another stun, and that shot will land. Wild charge now to delay a little bit of time, but I'm sure Empress will go down. King's Landing comes out as well just to force that tier 3 turret. They can pick 2 more up. It's gonna be the middle tier 3 going down. And 22 more seconds before the Grog comes up, and they can actually go for the end. If the Abyssal Arrow lands on the carry, it's gonna be all over. Leomord will buy some time by sacrificing himself. They look like they want to push things towards the finish line. And Violet Record once again catching 4 members. This time around, she does get Aphrodite, which is the target that they wanted all along. And that's going to delay the plans of Reborn, although they did manage to walk away with 3 tier 3s. The guy is just going to go back to heal. So good effort coming out from Nirvana to buy 1 more fight. And good Violet Record coming from Hera as well to land on 3 members on the side of Reborn, and especially picking Aphrodite out, who was a little bit out of position, if I may add that. That being said, after having that good team fight and then going to Lord Take, Reborn find themselves 10k up in terms of gold lead. Got Ice Cream 1 already completed on Kimi as well. Really important items coming up. Athena shield coming up on the High Loss, which is going to help against the D, as well as the Guinevere, who did manage to complete her concentrated energy. So if I'm not wrong, we should see a BOD come up. NOD rather, a Necklace of Durance, come up for either the Selena or the Kimi. Although, if you were to ask me, I think Selena should pick it up. So Winter Truncheon gonna be built up on the Kimi as well. Aphrodite does want to make sure that she doesn't get caught out once again. So the Winter Truncheon is definitely gonna help with the Guinevere's ultimate. So once the Guinevere goes in the Violet Requiem, all Kimi has to do is just press the Winter Truncheon, and she should be able to walk out of there alive. And obviously you have the Uranus and the Hylos that's gonna babysit her. So she doesn't even have to worry too much about positioning. As long as the Hylos is there, they should be able to have enough, HP for the Kimi to actually stay alive in the fight. So obviously Carrie and Kimi, both the key targets on the opponent's side. Kido also yet to die, and I know I did pinpoint out, I rather put a little bit of pressure on Kido to land her Abyssal Arrows, but you saw in the last few fights she did absolutely well, landing on the Leomord, landing it onto the carry, landing onto the Guinevere as well. So really good upbeat momentum that Nirvana, or rather Reborn is carrying into the late game. So net worth kinda stalling for now. But that's because Reborn's pretty much got max build on every single member, although a couple of the supports do have to get rid of the must, or rather if they want to build the tier 3 must as possible, they are looking for 1 major item before the fight. Magic Potion already coming up onto the Kimi, and she's full slaughtered. Pity she can transfer gold into her rest of her members, but with Lord on their side, looks like they want to go for the final push. Should be an easy game unless Nirvana can pull out something huge here, and it's all down to Hera. If she can land a good Violet Record onto Kimi before she gets her Winter Truncheon off, if they can deal enough burst damage, then it's good. But you can see the early game advantage of the Digi as well as the Grog starting to wither down right now. The damage not really mattering so much now. The Kagaya and Yami is just standing in their face, just soaking up all the damage, and I'm pretty sure this is GG. Lord still at half HP. Violet Record onto the backline once again, catching out the Kimi. But Kimi just being kept alive by the rest of the team, and that's gonna be an early GG coming up from Reborn 10 minutes in, and they close out a critical game 1. Not gonna say that was an easy game, but it was a pretty straightforward one for Reborn. Yes, they had a little bit of a rough start coming into the first half of the game, but you know, they did really well coming into the middle of the fight. You can see they took a fight really well. They managed to get the Lord, and from the Lord, they with one Lord, just one Lord take, they did manage to secure 3 tier 3 turrets. So that was pretty much what set the win up for them. And then, you know, coming into the later part fight, as long as they didn't make too much of major mistakes, which they didn't, they did manage to win the game. Magic Glaive also managed to complete onto Selena, which did help against absolutely no one, because, you know, no one on the side of Nirvana had any sort of HP to burn through except for the Grok, who had the Athena shoe. Maybe that's why Selena picked up the Magic Glaive. But with that being said, congratulations to Reborn, managed to pick up that crucial game 1 like I mentioned, and obviously they must be feeling good going into this best of 3. We'll go for a short 5 to 10 minutes break, you know, let the players reset for a bit. Obviously they can swap sides, so we can see Reborn come onto blue and then Nirvana go onto the red. But yep, once again, you know, a big shout out to Dreamcore, Super Solid, as well as Yahoo TV for helping us out at being the partners and sponsors for this tournament. Remember, this is a one-off tournament, and we're gonna give away 1,000 diamonds to both 3rd and 4th placing. 2nd place gets 2,000 diamonds, and then, you know, obviously the grand champions of this particular Myanmar tournament will get 4,000 diamonds. So shout out to our sponsors for helping us with that as well. So we'll go for a short break. When we are back, we'll bring you game 2 between Reborn as well as Nirvana. I'll see you right after this. You know, I'm just gonna clear things up right now. I see a lot of people in the chat, you know, they're calling for the pause in Bruce game. Hey, I don't make the pauses, the admins do. So I'm just gonna stay out of this. You know, all the best to the teams in the second game. Obviously, for those who watched the first game, Reborn actually managed to win game 1. So they're gonna swap sides. Reborn's gonna be on the blue side, and then you got Nirvana on the red side. So let's just go straight in draft, because players are already ready. And here we go. We're gonna see Reborn pick up the rather ban out the Valor as well as the Nana. So similar draft to what they had coming to the first game. Like I said, you know, Nana with the Molina as well as the Blitz. It's really painful. She has decent CC. She's got Molina's gift, which means she can actually run away when she dies. So just a very pesky hero to deal with. So let's just take her out. You know, Reborn don't want to do anything about it. They go with the first pick on the Kimi, something that they're really comfortable with. You saw how well they did come into game 1. Yes, they had a little weak early game, but that was because Diggy as well as Grok had a lot of damage in the first phase. But once Kimi managed to pick up a glowing wand, and she goes into a BOD, and then, you know, the rotation from Reborn started to outpace Nirvana, and there was just snowballing effect coming in. All they had to do was just win one team fight near the pit, the Lord's pit. They managed to get the Lord, they pushed down 3 turrets, and then they just ended the game from there. Nirvana's gonna pick up the Ceylon as well as the Kufra. I think, honestly, Afasa would actually be good for Nirvana, seeing how Reborn likes to play that. And they like to keep a little bit of a distance, right? They have the Kimi, and then they have the Uranus as well as the Hylos that helps the Kimi to put their opponents at range. If they stack onto the Kimi, then you have this Hylos Uranus that stacks the damage on top, and they try to actually stun them out, following by the Selena's arrow. But this time around, Nirvana says, you know what, let's take out the Selena. We also want to ban away the Claude. So instead of taking out away the Selena, they replace it with a Gusion, which is entirely different to what they had in the first game. Because if you look at Selena, she's a really good support. She has a ton of damage in terms of burst. Same goes for Gusion, but she doesn't really have the CC. So it looks like Reborn want to go a little bit more aggressive with this lineup. They want to go for the back line, have something with a lot more burst in terms of damage. So they are very comfortable for confident for second game. I want to see what the last 2 is before I make a little bit of my prediction. But I think if I'm Reborn, I want to ban out an MM here. I think either a Granger or a Bruno would be good to ban out. Because Nirvana is looking to match the amount of pacing that Reborn have in their draft. You know, Kimi, like I said, once she picks up the glowing wand, she becomes very dangerous. So on Nirvana's end, they need an MM that can match it. You know, in this case, either a Bruno or a Granger would be good. You know, if either hero does get their first item, then they become really impactful. But nope, they ban out the Jawhead, which is fine as well. You know, take out someone that can go for the Kimi, which makes a lot of sense, kind of similar to what they banned out in the first game. So Reborn, they're being consistent in the draft. Nothing too much in terms of changes. I think they might want to pick up the Uranus again, which if I'm Nirvana, man, you if you don't ban the Uranus, you gotta pick him up. It's just too much to deal with. So they banned the Atlas, which is fine. I think that's fine as well. Given that Reborn needs another tank to go with, and I think Reborn might go for the Grog. They might just go for the Grog. So yep, Nirvana will pick up the Bruno. I'm pretty surprised to see Uranus not picked up here. I think a Uranus as well as maybe another fighter will do the job, but in that case, the second fighter has to play something like an Xbox to tank up for the Kimi, because at this point of time, yes, you have the Gusion as well as the Digi, but both heroes are very paper. So yes, the Chow would do the same thing. It's kind of similar to what the Grok can put in front. Decent amount of damage, don't really need too much items. He has the Chikundo as well as Way of the Dragon, so decent amount of CC as well. Good draft overall. I think they have a quite decent draft. The only worrying thing about Reborn is that now, instead of having another frontliner like a Hylos, they need the Chow. So I gotta say it's still pretty similar to what they had in game 1 because of the Kimi. End of the day, as long as she gets the glowing one, she becomes quite a scary marksman to handle. Nirvana, they need another fighter. They need someone to pair up against either the Chow or the Uranus, in which case there's not really much left on the board. They go for the Grog, so this is looking to be a very passive comp. In fact, I don't think they should go for the Hyper Carry here. They can actually go for the 1-2-2, in which this case, you know, put the Leomord in the off lane and then put the Bruno as well as the Grog, either the Grog or the Kufra, which I suggest going for the Kufra just to help the Bruno in terms of CC to be in the bot lane, and then put the Grog as well as the Sissalon down to mid, which is still pretty decent. You know, I wouldn't say that they will definitely lose out to the 1-3-1. We have seen cases of teams, especially in high tier ranked games, where the 1-2, if they can hold off the game for a significant period of the early game, then they can actually, you know, buy enough time for the MM to go toe to toe with in team fights. So yeah, I think the 1-2 definitely does look more suitable for Nirvana as compared to going for the 1-3-1, because they don't really have a decent fighter to match against either the Uranus or the Chow. Essentially, they only have the Leomord.
5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them.
So like I mentioned, game 2 coming up against, or rather between Reborn and Nirvana. Looks like once again pause. Like I said, we gotta wait for the admin. You know what? I'm just gonna step in here, and looks like they want to pause. I'll just go for the pause here. I know the admins are working really hard to coordinate with the rest of the team, so I'm just gonna hand them in case chat goes wild again. So remember to mention in the chat which team you're supporting, and as well as which team you think is gonna win that 4,000 diamonds in first place. And we're just gonna wait for the teams to come back up. But yeah, draft looking to be a really good once again for the side of Reborn. Although this time round they don't really have too much of a front line. I think Chow is pretty decent, but you know, he's not like a Grog, right? He's not a Grog, he's not a Hylos. You know, it's very different as compared to the previous game. So I think if they can play aggressively enough in the opening stages, then yes, I think they might go for a remake. Okay, so yep, it looks like they are going for a remake. So remake time for both teams. I'm sure that they will go for the same draft over there. So Reborn, for those who actually missed out, Reborn's picked up the Kimi, they picked up the Diggy, the Gusion, the Chow, as well as the Uranus, whereas for the side of Nirvana, they pick up the Sicilian, they pick up the Krufra, the Leomord, the Bruno, and the Grog. Which I think, in game 2, Nirvana, they have a more balanced out compositions compared to game 1. Game 1, they were looking to hopefully have the Diggy as well as the Grog combo to carry into the late game for the carry, but didn't really work out so well. Like early game, they did really well because they got the first blood onto the Uranus. They managed to pick up the top tower, but then they completely lost momentum coming to the late game, which we saw how well Reborn did. Once they know the Kimi strength, they know that once she gets her first item, we go aggressive. Let's go take the team fights. Let's pressure them in the jungle, force them to mistakes, contest them for red buff. We know we have the range because of the Kimi, as compared to the carry, who, yes, she's a marksman, she has range, but she's not a Kimi, right? Kimi's from level 1 has an insane amount of range, and there's a reason why when Kimi first came out, Moontan had to go through so many patches to just nerf her over and over again, because at the end of the day, the threat of Kimi is her range, which is why I think, which is why I kind of recommended that Nirvana actually picked up a Fasa, because Fasa can match your range. She has the Feather Airstrike. She's got a ton of range. She's got CC. She's got a lot of burst damage. So that's just my opinion. But it looks like Nirvana, they really trust in their MM picks. They trust that they can pull through with that Sicilian, which is pretty similar to Fasa if you think about it, right? He has the range, he has the burst damage, he has the sustain. So we'll see how that works out. But for now, we are going into a remake. Remember, they are going to be playing the same heroes. And for those who are wondering, why is there no, Sylvana? Why is there no Zaz? Although Zaz is kind of like an off-meta hero right now. Well, simple reason. Sylvana as well as Zaz will be also banned out from this competition. So we'll definitely not see these two heroes getting picked up for the entirety of this matchup. So we're waiting for the teams to ready up, and then hopefully we can go into it, and we will start the game right after this advertisement.
The warm feel of my passion burning! Woohoo! You feel that? Hey, very nice kick! I'm on top of the world!
Killing spree! Mega kill!
You feel that? Ha!
You have slain an enemy! Launch attack! Legendary!
Ha!
Double kill!
Ha!
Legendary!
I'm on top of the world! Hey!
First blood!
Download for free Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
Alright, so it looks like we are back. Players did manage to restart the game after the 3 minutes. They surrendered, and now we are back into the same exact drafting process. So they are picking the same exact heroes as they did. I'm not too sure where at which point in time in the draft did the player lag, so we might see a different draft perhaps. But for now, it looks like everything is still in order. You know, we do see the Kimi, the Diggy, as well as the Grok pick. Nirvana will pick up the Kufra, the Sicilon, as well as the Bruno. So no changes so far. Jawhead getting banned out. I think it should be the same. I don't think there will be any differences in the ban. So obviously, if everything's the same, Reborn will then pick up the Uranus as well as the Chow. And then for Nirvana, they will pick up the Leomord as well as the Grog. Or not the Grog. So it looks like Reborn pick up the Grog. So a little bit of a change there. Alright, so that's the change. I kind of missed out the Grog there. Reborn pick up the Grog instead of a Chow Uranus. So no Gusion pick. The Gusion was kind of unintended. So it looks like they won't be having a Gusion this time round. Well, this does change the draft quite a bit. This time round, Nirvana do ban on the Uranus. And I gotta say, definitely does make a lot more sense. Because the Gusion pick, like I said, it's really different compared to Selena. Yes, you have burst damage. But, you know, Gusion is not really a support. You want the support to be in a hyper carry, and in this case Reborn, they pick up the Grog to kind of go along with that try rotation down mid, and they still ban on the Jawhead, which is, like I said, pretty straightforward. They don't want the Jawhead jumping onto the backline to do any tossing, you know, any disruption to their lineup. And it looks like Nirvana will go ahead with the Uranus ban. They pick up the Xbox. And if they want to, they will pick up the Leomord, which I'm pretty sure they will. Reborn here looking to pick up the 2 fighters for their split push. And looks like it's going to be once again the Guinevere and the Badang. So this time around, pretty similar to what we saw in the previous game, right? I mean, end of the day, both heroes kind of fulfill what they need to do in terms of pushing the lane. I do have my own opinions on Badang. I think Badang is one of those heroes where, you know, in terms of pushing the lane, doesn't really do too well. Yes, he does have the ultimate. It does hurt a lot, but you know, it's not a Uranus. You know, he's not able to like cut the wave as well as Uranus. He's not able to really do as much of a split push. But what he does is contribute a ton of damage, especially with the Fist Crack as well as the CC in Fist Break. So I think it's still pretty decent, but there is a slight difference in the way the Badang is gonna fit into this draft, because it's just not gonna be the same as Uranus. But that being said, I still think Reborn's draft is pretty dangerous, especially if they can get the glowing wand to the Kimi. If they do push with the right timings, they can out-rotate Nirvana. Nirvana this time around, for the last of the draft, instead of picking up the Grog because, you know, the restart, they pick up the Hylos, which I think is pretty good. I mean, in the previous game, Hylos did really well for Reborn, and Nirvana is looking to do the same with the Hylos this time around, to be sitting on top of the Bruno. And I'm really excited for the Sicilon to be in this game, because this is, I think, been the longest time since we've seen any Sicilon in FSL. I've seen a lot of Sicilons getting banned out, not so much in getting picked, because, you know, when he first came out, he was just broken. Not many people knew how to deal with the Sicilon. And obviously, you know, with his moonlit walls, it was just so hard to catch him out. But this time around, it looks like we're going to be seeing a little bit of aggression down in the mid lane. Not so much, I would say. Kind of mistaken there. Oh, Kimi did manage to steal that buff away, and that's going to be level 3 for Kimi, as compared to Sicilon, who's only level 2. Well, if you would compare likes for like, it's actually Bruno versus Kimi, and obviously, you know, Kimi is definitely going to be pushing way faster. Looks like top lane Kido almost going down. They're trying to suck the Empress into a deep rotation. And boy, is this a bit of a matchup for the Empress. Khufra off lane. My, this is going to be a rough lane for the Khufra, especially when he's trying to defend that lane. Look at that. He doesn't really have much in terms of basic damage. Yes, he has the magic ball, but other than that, you know, he can't clear the wave as fast as the Badang. So this is actually a good matchup for the side of Reborn. Meanwhile, Xbox versus Guinevere is definitely going to have a lot more in terms of like even ground, in a way. Guinevere not being able to land that magic thump. And here comes the pressure coming in. Lynx now out of mana. And that's going to allow Velvet out. Flame shot coming up from almost going down. The Hylos nearly picks him down. Meanwhile, here comes the quick rotation from Reborn. They will get the Digi down, but they definitely do want to pick up this Hylos. Energy comes up for Herphrodite, and he will get the return kill 1-for-1 on both sides. Although that being said, they did manage to pick up the first blood onto the Xbox. So pretty good trade for Reborn. And not only that, if they stick around longer and they play really aggressive, they can actually push the bot lane if they want, because Bruno's already shown himself bot in the middle, which means Hylos should be nearby. But no, they will reset. Interesting thing about the bot lane is that both heroes do not need mana. So that will come down to the individual skill play as to how, you know, they're gonna outwit one another. And obviously we saw Sicilon with a ton of damage, especially with the bad impact, as well as the Sanguine Claws, and he has a bad feast as well. So if they want, they have quite a bit of range to deal with the Kimi this time around as compared to the previous game. Like I said, I would have preferred the Farsa because of the mobility as well as the, I would say, stun. But you know, the Sicilon's proving to be working pretty decently right now. Xbox can actually use his ultimate if he wants. Oh no, no last insanity right there. Wild Charge coming out for the Grog to buy some time. Flame shot from Yami to push Bruno back. And both teams will not be able to do anything, although that did buy a little bit of time for the Guinevere to actually push the bot lane. So at the end of the day, Reborn still did manage to come up on top of that engagement. Kimi trying to find that last shot with the maximum charge onto the Bruno. Kind of misses Mako there. Lynx is dropping really low. The pool did manage to come through. Last Insanity will pick up the Digi. But look at that. Call Me almost went down. And she is thankfully still alive. Lynx as well. And going over to the top lane, you got Kido still up against Empress. The battle between the Khufra and Badang still going on. Just as I mentioned, Reborn will be able to push the top lane. And this is where D is just so annoying. Look at that. He's just keeping Empress out of range, trying to harass this Khufra, who pretty much would have went down if Nirvana did not rotate in time. So Bruno and Hylos going to make sure that the Khufra stays up, although they did not manage to salvage that tier 1 tower in the top side. Nirvana trying to do their best to push the mid lane as much as possible. One more hit from the tower, should be able to get it. And I was just about to make the point that Yami is just doing a really good job with this Digi, and the irritating part about the Digi is that even after she goes down, she's still able to stick by her team and can respawn on the spot, so she's able to just go into the next team fight if it happens right there when she respawns. But now Empress dropping really low, and that's gonna be a huge flame shot coming up from Velvet. We'll be able to get the kill onto the Khufra. And Turtle is up, which means if Reborn want to take the fight, now is a good time for them. Well, all the huge CCs are up. And now they did a good job of this team fight. Look at that. Kagaya just staying on the back line with this Grog. They may be able to pick up the high loss. Yes, they will. And look at that. The flicker coming out of Aphrodite to get out of the range of the Kufa. Really good job there. Maximum charge to burn that Bruno down. And once again, another good team fight coming in. And look at the goal lead right now. They did manage to... I mean, they did manage to pick up the turtle, which is fine. But at the end of the day, they still pick up a lot of goal lead. And not only that, they also are pressuring down the mid with this giant wave that's coming up. Top side once again. Guinevere pushing down the bot lane by herself. No pressure there, no resistance. And she's already built. And pretty much, I think she's gonna go into the glowing wand. She can actually go into it if she wants, but it looks like Genius Wand should be the next item for her. So maybe the concentrated energy is going to be on hold for now. Going a little bit more aggressive, you know, maybe to help with pushing out the waves a lot quicker. Maybe it does help in team fights because they realize that maybe they don't need so much to stay in this team fight. What they need is more damage. Empress did manage to complete the blade armor, so that does help with a little bit when it comes to tanking up the damage. But obviously, he goes right in. That's good. Tyrant's Revenge on the mark. And now they're going in. Look at that. The Magic Walls comes true, but the Tickle Fist comes out just in time. And that's the huge CC coming out from Kido as well as the wall. Oh no, Magic Time onto the back line, followed up by the Violent Requiem. And they pick up 4 members on the side of Nirvana. And now they not only pick up the middle turret, they might be able to pick up the Xbox as well. Akko P flickers in the wrong direction. Aphrodite should be able to get this one on the map. And it's going to be a team wipe 5-for-1. And the one that they lost was a Digi, which means, you know, they didn't really lose much in the fight. And now the Kiwi will be able to pick up the turtle as well. So that's just gonna be even more goal lead. And speaking of goal lead, you know, you've got Reborn with 7k or rather 8k now in terms of the lead that they have. Obviously, you got Bruno, who's yet to complete his first major item. Yes, he did manage to complete his jungle item, but you know, he really needs that endless battle up online. Not only to help with the damage, but to help with the cooldown. And we've got Reborn now coming to a standstill. They want to contest for this red buff, and yes, they will. They do manage to get it onto the Kimi. So once again, taking away another, I want to say big objective, but still taking away, you know, a little bit of a goal from Nirvana, which is always, you know, the thing that you're looking to do as a team. You know, put a little bit of pressure, you know, put a little bit of take away a little bit of goal lead away from them. And now you've got the Blade of Despair coming out of the Kimi, and you've got, you know, the Badang managing to complete the golden stuff as well on top of the Demon Hunter Sword. So this is where the damage of Reborn just rises exponentially. The next team fight is definitely not going to look a lot pretty for Nirvana. But they're doing a good job. Digi almost going down as well. Once again, Last Insanity comes out from the Xbox on the correct character, but not enough damage over there. Sissalon will go down, and they lose their long range threat. Not much of a space for the Xbox to run away as well. Aiko will go down. It's a 2-for-1 trade once again. And now with Turtle up, it looks like Reborn will try to go for the finishing blow. Empress trying to reach the Guinevere, but just slightly out of reach. And looking at itemizations right now, you got Immortality coming on the Kufra. Obviously, that's a really huge item. The Queen's Wing coming with the Xbox to help with the sustain. But look at the difference. You know, if you compare the Kimis compared to the Bruno, right, as well as the support. I mean, even if you look at the supports, right, you compare the Digi as compared to the Kufra, or even the Hylos. The Digi's already got that fleeting time. And she's got the courage once completed. She's got the boots, obviously. And she's the lowest net worth on the side of Reborn. And now Lord, now down to half HP. Kufra already know Arsenal left on the board. They do manage to take the Lord down in time. So that does help quite a bit. The Grog will stick the Hylos just slightly out of range. My Reborn doing a very good job with pushing. Not only that, this huge wave from the Lord will allow them to pick up the tier 3, and this is where picking up the Lord is so important. A lot of people, you know, they get mistaken with the fact, oh, we must always go for the Lord because the Lord is such an important objective. Yes, the Lord is an important objective, but the main reason why the Lord is such an attractive objective to take is because of the two huge minion waves that you get, right? You get two super minion waves, and it's the waves that's actually putting a lot of pressure on opponents, because not only do they have to defend the lane with the Lord, right? If the team pushes the Lord, that's even harder for them to take the Lord down. You got two huge minion waves, super minion waves, mind you, pushing on the opposite sides as well, the other two lanes. So that does take up quite a bit of time to clear up. So this is where you see a lot of threat coming. Why, you know, teams prioritize the Lord so much? It's because of the two huge minion waves on top of the Lord himself. But looks like Reborn now doing very well with the split push. Kimi going up the top. You got the Guinevere coming to bottom lane, and it's just a matter of time before, you know, Reborn will secure their next turret. And in this case, looks like they want to take the bottom. Ooh, they have to be very careful with the positioning right there. They already used the reverse time, and look at that, Tico Face comes out onto the back line, nearly going down. Hylos over there, the burn damage not enough. They nearly take two. Really close shave for the side of Nirvana. Same goes for Herphrodite on this Kimi. Who I would say nearly went down to Sicilon's bad feast. So the aerial threat of the Sicilon proving to be a little bit useful, especially at this point of the stage. 14 minutes in, you do see that 15k goal lead for the side of Nirvana, Reborn. And if I'm Nirvana at this point, you know, I'm just trying to delay as much as possible, try to get my Bruno up on items. He did manage to pick up his Endless Battle. I'm pretty sure he's trying to go for Berserker Fury just to help with the crit damage and proc, you know, even more crits, especially with his passive. Every time you hit, you increase your critical your chances of getting a critical hit. And I think they want to go for a pause. I'm not too sure. I'm just gonna pause here just in case you guys want to go for it. Just gonna go for the pause. I think the Xbox actually called. But yeah, I think Reborn, if they don't make too many mistakes here, they should be able to close out the game. They've already managed to complete full build onto the Kimi. Obviously, last item gonna be the Genius Wand. And then you also have the Guinevere completing the Corrosive Scythe. Not Corrosive Scythe, but the Concentrated Energy as well as the Fleeting Time. So that's gonna help even more, you know, with the cooldown Violet Requiem. And I think, you know, if I want to give Nirvana a bit of a chance in this game, but the only way they can get into a really good team fight is if Herphrodite is caught in position, and for that to happen, Herphrodite has to stand a little bit in front, and Sicilon has to catch her with the Bat's Feast, which is, I wouldn't say a hard thing to do so, but so far, it looks like, you know, Reborn, they know their win conditions. They're just making sure that Kimi stays as far away from the fight as possible. They will take the second lot of the game this time around to Enhanced Lot. And I'm pretty sure that even if they do not win the game here with this Enhanced Lot, they will be able to secure at least another tier 3 turret. And that's only, and that's counting the effect if Nirvana do not lose a team fight. Because if they lose a big team fight here, it could be GG. But I'm constantly trying to look for that huge fist crack onto the back line. We saw him down a couple. We saw Kido. She did manage to pull many insane fist crack a couple of times now. She's going for the split push. She should be able to get this bottom tier 3. That's going to help with it. While Nirvana still caught up with the Lord in the middle of the lane. Velvet looking for the right time to go with the magic time. But here they go. The fist crack comes in. Empress walks out of life. But then we lose the Hylos. Last Insanity comes out for the X-Bot onto the back line. But with the help of the rest of the team, they once again managed to keep Herphrodite alive. And not only that, they should be able to get a tier 3 onto the top lane. That's going to be super minions on all 3 lanes. Kimi just going to regen for a bit. Didn't really go back home. And if Lynx can get a good kill. Whoa, the damage from Lynx. They get the kill onto the Empress once again. Lynx with those long range shots. Especially with the bad impact and the Swan Green Claws. I'm not sure how much damage that was. But, you know, if you're counting base damage alone, that's 500 base damage on top of it, you know, plus 160% of magic damage, magic power. And you also plus 10% of your total mana as damage. So that's really insane. Amount of burst onto the Diggy and one shot. And obviously his passive does allow him to increase his max mana, which in turn increases damage more. So as the later this game goes, the better it is for the Sicilian. And obviously it's better for the whole team of Nirvana as well, because, you know, it allows them to buy enough time to negate the lead that Reborn have. We do see the Wind of Nature already coming up onto the Bruno, which will help against the Badang when he does go in for the fist crack, which is the biggest threat they're facing right now. And that's excluding the Violet Raccoon coming up. And once again, they managed to bring the another Immortality charge down. X-Bot coming out of the front, Kido onto the back line. They managed to get one down. A little bit greedy coming out from Kido. Empress trying to dive onto the Guinevere. Oh my goodness, the Swanging Claws will claim the life of the Diggy. And now Lynx with the strike once again. Another kill, and they managed to bring a Herphrodite. If they want to go for the GG push, they have to do it now. And they have one small creep still alive. Empress trying to stop him from TPing out. And Kagaya held at the second tier 2. Nirvana desperately trying to end the game before any members come alive. Well, at least they can secure tier 3. But can they go for the insane comeback coming out of here? Kagaya, the only winning member up alive. Aerial Strike coming up. The Bad Feast will make sure Lynx still stays alive. Empress with the passive. And now Bruno will try to end the thing here. Kagaya, one more shot. And Kido coming up the backline. The fist crack. Nope, doesn't really have to pull it out. Diggy will come up as well. That's going to allow them to push those waves back. Kimi coming up in 2 seconds. And now they may pay for their greediness. Bruno caught in a bad position. No man's land. And Call Me and Empress will go down. That is really, really bad for the side of Nirvana. 40 seconds without the Bruno. But Reborn's going to go for the safe route. Just going to secure the Lord. And gotta say, that was a greedy play coming from Nirvana. Yes, You know, it looked like it could have been possible, but a good job coming from Kaguya to kind of delay time. But obviously you can see the damage potential of Nirvana starting to come up right now. You can see the damage, especially when they're going to these team fights. You know, Aiko with the last insanity onto the backline. You've got, you know, Lynx with the burst coming off the bad impact and the swinging claws. Obviously you got the bad fist to, you know, do damage from afar and to keep him alive with the lifesteal. And he picked up Lightning 1 as well, so that's going to provide a bit of AoE damage in the team fight. Meanwhile, Kaguya trying to keep the Lord alive. Empress very isolated from the rest of the team, just trying to buy time. And time is of the essence. Velvet now coming up right in front. First one to go down, and look at that. The Fizz Crack comes up. Perfect ulti from Kido. And they bring not only 2 members down, they should be able to get this high loss. And I'm sure Aiko will not be able to run out of this. Kido will ensure that he falls. But they turn their attention down to base. And the split push, as well as the superhuman, or rather not superhuman, but the super meter waves coming out will allow Nirvana to get taken down. And that's going to be Reborn completing that 2-0 over their opponents right there. Obviously, we're going to see Reborn go into the next bracket. Congratulations to Reborn. They managed to make their way into the next half, which should be the semi-finals if I'm not wrong. Unfortunately for Nirvana, this is the end of the journey for them. I mean, they put up a tough fight, and in the second game it did look like, you know, at some point in time they had a slight chance with the Sicilian. You know, they managed to win a very big team fight, but unfortunately for them, Kaguya was just too good of a player on the Grok. You know, bought enough time for the members of Reborn to come up. They managed to get the kill onto Bruno as well as onto the Kufra played by Empress. And then they got the Lord and went for the final push. So that being said, congratulations Reborn, going to your first semi-finalists of the tournament. But, you know, a big GG to both teams. Like I said, well done to Nirvana. Unfortunately for them, this is the end of the journey and this tournament. Once again, a big shout out to Dreamcode Super Solid as well as Yahoo for being our partners and sponsors for this particular tournament. We'll go for a short break, but when we are back, we still have one more BO3 for you. Remember, it's gonna be both teams of Impunity going up, Impunity Pixies against Impunity Diva. So I'm really super stoked for that particular matchup. I want to see which Impunity team can call themselves superior, and not only that, go into the semi-finals. So, you know, at least Impunity are guaranteed a spot in the semi-finals, at least one team. With that being said, we'll go for a short break. Don't go anywhere, and we'll bring the next match to you as soon as possible.